And we are live. Welcome to the live stream. We're going to give 2 minutes for folks to join here as we allow an animation of the sun to play at 171 angstroms. So be right back, folks. So we see an old sunspot rising here. This is sunspot 2736 and sunspot 2738 making its third appearance here. Or you could say its third Carrington rotation. Let's look at 304 angstroms. This is 8 hours worth of the sun, by the way. And there's a 304 angstroms view. We see a bunch of filaments associated with that sunspot. And it has been producing some coronal mass ejections on the far side of the sun. Let's look at the colored magnetogram here to see if there's anything else going on the Earth-facing portion of the disk as this sunspot rises once again. Not a lot going on, although this right here is a reverse polarity plage. See that North Pole associated green region leading there. It's very small, very small. If you want the full account of reverse polarity plages associated with cycle 25, please head to solon.info. And let's take a look at the 193 angstroms view, which shows a coronal hole right in the Earth-facing region. And sure enough, we have seen a 6.1 magnitude earthquake. We'll get to it in a moment. First, let's talk about the most efficient means ever devised to transport human beings, which is the bicycle. A bike should be part of your prepping plans, and the ultimate prepping bikes are probably in the commuter urban category. Because you have to take things like valve stems into account, Presta valves versus Schrader valves. You may be better off in a post-apocalyptic world with Schrader valves. So a lot of options there. Here's one that has electrical assist, but you should learn how to pedal because, well, it's kind of important. Here's kind of the ultimate, the BMC Alpine Challenge. Looks like it's a Lamborghini licensed product. And this is the kind of bike that's designed to have a lot of utility and very limited amount of maintenance, including these disc brakes, which are sweet. Anyway, check the links and please support the page in any way you see fit. They are in the description. Now, we're in the process of starting a nonprofit organization whose mission is to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics, to raise the awareness of the general public of the relationship between space weather and Earth effects, to connect to and consult with media organizations to multiply our reach, to demonstrate cutting-edge proof-of-concept solutions to problems, to publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary manner, including the sciences, but not limited to, such as spectroscopy, chemistry, astrophysics, health, wellness, longevity, cosmology, biology, magnetohydrodynamics, geology, etc. To assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomena in order to optimize value and reduce risk and liability and save lives and resources and adapt no matter what the adversity is. And lastly, to not be ossified in our beliefs and to treat those who are with love, respect, and inclusion to the scientific discussion. There's also a PayPal page for you anonymous donors out there. Thank you very much. It makes a huge difference. And we're getting a new internet service in a couple of days. And you are partially to blame, or I should say thank. It's actually going to cost us less money. And why isn't Refresh working? Trying to look at the real-time solar wind here. We apologize for any delay in your viewing. We see the BZ has just dropped in a negative right here. We don't see any coronal hole phi angle connection. That's going to be a major earthquake risk, as that coronal hole is facing the Earth right now. We see a downtick in the solar wind speed here. We're down at 442 kilometers per second. And solar wind density is at a fairly normal level here, 5.33 protons per cubic centimeter. So not a lot to report there in the solar wind. And let's look at the Gong 2. We should see some magnetic perturbations over there on the eastern limb. Keep in mind this data is 1 hour and 17 minutes old. And as this sunspot rises, we should expect to see some changes in these fields. No predictive phenomenon there, folks. Keep in mind the magnetic environment can change suddenly and without any warning. Let's hit refresh here, as I'm not sure the last time this was. There we go. Important article here about geomagnetic jerks. Please read it at spaceweather.com. And yeah, let's just move on here. spaceweathernews.com, which has a little bit more data and different data. So check out both. They're both good. All right, so we see a tiny B-class X-ray flare, most likely emanating from the loops associated with that active region that's rising, which is probably a sunspot. We actually see some magnetometer spikes here, so that's interesting. Probably has to do with that coronal hole wind stream, which is kind of dying down now. Looks like it's losing speed, basically. And the KP has been steady at 2 for quite a while. Let's look at the Enlil spiral as I see it's updated. And we are still waiting for data from the Parker Solar Probe. Anyway, there's the prediction. Earth shown in yellow. And we do see that we do see a coronal mass ejection there, headed towards Spitzer and Stereo A, but nothing to write home about. Get off my screen, you. Right. There's your electron flux. Not quite as much of an electron deficit as there was yesterday around this time. Charging hazards are minimal over Central America and northern South America. F2 layer is looking very discharged on both the sun side and the night side. There's your Aurora Borealis forecast. Quite strong auroras over central Canada there. And there's your Aurora Australis. If you're at McMurdo, shout out McMurdo. Probably see auroras over your head right now. And next we'll look at this version, the WSA, on the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. And let's bring out the chat, which I see has become extra functional. And for that, YouTube, we thank you. All right. Thanks for joining, folks. Thanks for joining, everybody. smAsho staff, would you please put the URL for your channel so I can give you moderator privileges? Put the URL for your channel in the comments there, if you're listening. Whoopsies. Actually, let's look at the C2 while we're here at solarham.net, as it will show a coronal mass ejection here out of the eastern limb, not Earth facing. Actually, that looked. Oh, that was the one. That was the one on the opposite side, folks. And there's the newer one, also out of the east. So no Earth facing CMEs apparently. Although we will check the data on stereo A in a moment. And there again is on 5-1. There's a few, actually two different ejections out of the eastern limb. One headed south and one headed north. I'll let that play through one more time. Keep your eye right over here. There's one. Look on 5-1, you'll see a south ejection, which was right there, and here's the north ejection. Both of them were kind of off the interplanetary magnetic field, I might add. A little bit of ejecta went down the field line, I'm sure. Anyway, let's move on here. We want this to be as short as possible today. Electron content should be a little higher than it was yesterday, although still quite low. But much higher than yesterday, much more normal looking, folks. A little more GPS errors today than yesterday around the equator, but should have pretty good GPS performance everywhere. How about magnetosphere movies? We always play them. Although not too much going on here. We see some low velocity. We see some varying velocity coming in the solar wind on this frame. Don't refresh. Do not refresh. All right, there's the density. Try to leave that still so everybody can see it for archiving purposes, as you cannot access this data. You can't access old data of this kind, at least not yet. Here's the pressure. And we see a fairly discharged sun side here and a fairly charged magnetotail. If you're not familiar with magnetohydrodynamics, that's what we're talking about here. Let's move on to the ground magnetic perturbations, as we may see some significant ones here. And again, there was a 6.1 earthquake. I'm going to cover that in a minute. Let's just look at the polar regions, and we see some significant perturbations here over southern Greenland, as well as south of Australia, as the South Pole continues to migrate into the Indian Ocean. Main perturbations here appear to be on the Canada side, not the Siberia side of the North Poles. And when I say North Poles, I mean there are two. Here's the global perspective, and we're going to see some pulses that go right across the oceans, right across Australia. And we see these pulsations coming out of Hawaii that we often do when we see greater levels of ground perturbation. Let's move on to more data here, like where you're located in the solar system. Milky Way galaxy team for the win. Anyway, there's where things are located now. Mercury just about to swing past Venus. Here's where they'll be in a week. So just coming out of new moon there a week from now, as the Earth continues to creep up on Jupiter. Next, we're going to go to stereo A, which is located 1/3 of the way around the sun. This is how we look for Earth-facing coronal mass ejections. Any of you new viewers out there who have not seen this yet? Coronal mass ejections would be headed this way down the interplanetary magnetic field line. So not a lot going on out there. We do see a bit of interference. That was probably an X-ray flare hitting stereo A, as that sunspot is kind of right in the stereo A facing region. Just leaving the stereo A facing region, I would estimate. And let's move on. You can look at the LASCO C3. Now we're back at SOHO again, so now we're in between the sun and the Earth. This is the LASCO C3. And there you see those coronal mass ejections coming out of the eastern limb. Hope that wasn't too confusing, folks, for you new viewers out there. The view we were just looking at is located here, like this. Stereo A is located about here with this kind of a view. Got it? If you got any questions, leave a comment. Check out the great star charts at inthesky.org. We'll leave links in the description. I think they're already in the description. I always like to draw the ecliptic on mine. Put in your location. It'll tell you what stars are up there. And certain stars are more interesting than others for extremely important cosmological reasons that I won't get into in this video, because I don't want it to be too controversial, as folks have been getting banned. Facebook has banned more people. Check out the article at Zero Hedge if you like. My question to you is, where were you when Cygnus rose? Where were you? Look at cosmic rays. Here's a Patati, small spike. Athens. Good afternoon, Athens. Actually, it's still morning there. Here's Mexico City. Nothing to write home about there. Here's Moscow. Saw a pretty big spike yesterday, actually. Have you had your protons today? Here's Oulu getting a spike right now as we speak. A spike as we speak. How about DOMC Antarctica? There's that. And here's DOMB Antarctica. All right. And check out zooniverse.org, the largest citizen science project in the world. And we're going to have to classify this one because it's awfully funky. All right. So this has got features galore. Going to have to classify this one. It's certainly not an edge on disk, is it? Is there a bar? I say there's a bar. We're going to say weak bar. Is there a sign of a spiral arm pattern? I think there is. This is what I would call a composite galaxy. It's part elliptical, it's part merging, and it's part spiral. So we're going to say medium tightness. I'm going to say 3 spiral arms, which are starting to break apart, it looks like, as this galaxy turns into an elliptical. I believe, probably as a result of this merger. But since this is a snapshot of something happening at a massive scale, at a massive distance, pretty tough to say, but it should be studied more. Is there a central bulge? Is there a central bulge, folks? You really got to ask yourself about bulges. Have I heard about the gamma ray mirror research mystery released? No, I haven't. All right, so anyway, there is a central bulge here. We're going to say moderate in size. Is it merging or disturbed? We're going to say major disturbance here because there appears to be legit connection, physical connection here. So it looks like a large satellite galaxy merger right on the edge. And that's very interesting because that's going to have a significant effect on the way the spiral arms are going to form. So I would appreciate if zooniverse.org noted this one and studied it further. But I'm not emailing anybody because there's a lot of things to do. So we see a ring feature. We see a lens or arc. We see irregular. We see dust lane. We see overlap. We see something else. So that's how you classify a galaxy. Look at the brightness of this one. Just keep in mind, folks, if you do classify galaxies, you're only doing the one in the center of the frame, as these are point sources that are very, very far away. We're talking like hundreds of millions of light years, if not billions of light years away. All right, let's move on. Universe.org, the Galaxy Zoo Project. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/smashomash. Facebook.com/smashomash. Alex Jones doesn't subscribe because he's a goddamn globalist. He's a globalist. Mainstream media hack. Just kidding. Alex Jones got banned from Facebook, by the way, along with Laura Loomer and Paul Joseph Watson. Again, read the article on zerohedge.com. Follow us on Twitter if you like. I don't really tweet, but smAsho staff shares the videos so that folks that don't have other social media can see them via Twitter. Follow us on Instagram if you like. A little more personal stuff. Here's some screwing around yesterday.
Oh, Yowzers. Test complete. It's black magic.
Oh, it's black magic, folks. There is no classified technology used in the making of this video. Check us out on minds.com/smAsho also, the social media site that won't ban you or censor you. I guess you probably could get banned if you did certain things, but they won't ban you just for having an opinion that they don't like the politically motivated Facebook and Google and Twitter and Netflix and Google. Did I mention Google is biased? All right. SoundCloud.com/Daniel-Nigro-2, because that's my actual name, folks, has some of the music that some of our viewers enjoy, so please check it out there, as well as SoundClick.com/GoldenCat-Productions. We branded this to look a little bit like our channel, so hey, check out Blacksmith. We talk about the sun a lot, which is kind of the world's ultimate blacksmith, isn't it? Yeah. The sun is kind of the ultimate blacksmith, folks. If you weren't aware, you heard it here first. 6.1, Solomon Islands. We'll look at it in a minute, but we got to do the whole rundown here. Svalbard. Heads up Svalbard. What the hell? Where is it? It doesn't show it on the map. Oh, there it is. So there's that one. All right. So we see a 4.5 in Taiwan. Shout out David Devine. Did you feel that one, bud? 4.4 at the Philippines. 4.4 at Dominica. 4.6 at Indonesia. 4.2 at Tajikistan. We are waiting for the big quake, folks. We are waiting for the big quake. That coronal hole could be connecting right now. So if you are in these areas, you are still having a magnitude 7 earthquake drought. So heads up, earthquake-prone areas, especially these ones, as you've been getting deep quakes for months. So have a plan, and plan to be an asset, not a liability in the event of a disaster. Let's continue on. 5.0 in Yemen. We have seen an uptick around the entire Middle East in the past week. Shout out Middle East. Watch out for badly constructed buildings, folks. 4.5 in the Philippines. Philippines have been getting a ton of quakes lately, and for there in the past week or so, 4.5 is a small one. 5.1 in New Zealand. Shout out New Zealand. Anybody felt that one? Leave a comment. I know we've got some viewers. 4.6 in the Philippines at depth. Also, there is a hurricane hitting India right now, so it's right about there, and that's going to increase the risk further for that area, as a hurricane or a cyclone or whatever they call it over there is an earthquake risk factor. Might sound crazy, but these particular disasters line up. 5.1 in the southern East Pacific rise. 4.8 in Mayotte. Basically right in the African Rift Zone there, a strange part of the earth. If you're not familiar with the African Rift Zone, do a DuckDuckGo search for it. And don't Google it, and don't use Google as a verb. Google doesn't even want you using Google as a verb. I see no tsunami warnings, folks, so that's a good thing. Anyway, 6.1 there in the Solomon Islands. Here's a zoom in. So pretty significant quake there, folks. And that does not reduce the earthquake risk whatsoever. Again, that coronal hole magnetic connection, we just saw another quake come in. This one just happened about 40 minutes ago, folks. This one just happened even more recently than that. I don't know exactly what time it is. I don't want to look at the clock. So let's continue on. Actually, let's go back there for a minute. So there is another site to view earthquakes. I'm sure there's plenty of them. Here's globalincidentmap.com. Yeah, so that 4.1 was at 388 kilometers, folks. That was only 28 minutes ago. That was just at the end of our show prep, or at the beginning of the show prep, really. And I don't know what that's for. There was some reason. Oh, windy.com. We're going to look at low pressure systems. Anyway, that cyclone has made landfall at India. Let's go check the pressure. Man, oh man. So it doesn't really look that low. Let's look at the wind patterns. Here's a 9,000 meter. Let's look at the surface winds. And there you have it. Man. All right. Get that off my screen, Windy. All right, this is not cooperating. Let's go back to pressure here. Look at the low pressure zones around places like Japan, especially as the earthquake magnitude 7 drought continues. No low pressures now, but let's let this advance. This will give you some idea of where that hurricane's going. It looks like it's going to the northeast. And it's taking its time. Heads up India. Over 1 million people were evacuated for that, folks. So at least they made some preparations. And for that, we thank you. All right, let's go back to the current time here. Oh, it's not cooperating, folks. Come on, you can do it. You feel like you're driving an old jalopy that's going to break down at any moment. Powerful anticyclone off of the U.S. here. And let me shut this down. We're going to do a fade out, you know. My initials are DJN, so I'm naturally DJN. It's all my mom's fault. Powerful low there off of Eastern Canada. And let's move on, as this site is acting like a jalopy today. Maybe it's my computer. I don't know. Anyway, windy.com's got some great data, so check it out. Today's volcanoes include Shivaluch with a 13,000 foot ash plume, Tucono, flight level 7,000, Fuego, 15,000, Nevado del Ruiz with a little uptick there, 19,000 feet, Revenador. I wouldn't pole vault it unless you can pole vault a 17,000 foot ash plume. Sabancaya with weak emissions, and Planchon Peteroa, who knows? Maybe it's going off, maybe not, as the satellites are unable to see it. A lot of these things are in very desolate locations. As Texas gets hit with more thunder, lightning, rain, etc. Also a heavy storm there in Kansas and a little bit in Nebraska. And we see a line across Tennessee and Kentucky and Indiana. We got lots of flood warnings and stuff. Let's do a quick water vapor animation here, so you folks who are getting rained on have some idea when it will subside. We're going to zoom in on that convergence in Texas here. So there's that situation. We'll speed this up to condense the data. Consider your data condensed. That might be zoomed in too far. Let's just see what happens. Oh, that's a good one. Great streamers there over Mississippi, Alabama's border. Some sudden evaporation happening right here. The great thing about the water vapor map, folks, is that it shows you water vapor that has not condensed onto clouds. So this gives you a much better indication of what these systems are really doing. Yes, Doppler radar shows you where things like rain and snow and severe thunderstorms are. But if you really want to know what's happening in the upper atmosphere, you need to look at the water vapor. And that's why we look at it. And if it's nighttime and you want to see what's going on in the cloud layer, you want to look at the shortwave radiation map. So let's just have a quick look there. It doesn't give you a perfect indication of the clouds, but this will show you fog at nighttime in most cases. So we see this storm actually building in a southerly manner there. It's kind of not following the overall flow of the system. So while the system is moving this way, we have a sudden building this way. So you're going to get some storm tracks going in odd directions. And let's not get into meteorology too much, as I'll step on the toes of David Schlottower. Shout out David Schlottower, one of our featured channels. If you want to know which channels we endorse, check out youtube.com/smashomash/channels. Here's a lightning situation if you're not familiar with lightningmaps.org. Shout out Louisville. It looks like the lightning has moved on to your north. And let's see here. Waco's probably in the crosshairs here. And San Antonio just straight up surrounded by lightning. Biggest cell is right down here where this thing is building in a weird southerly direction. Right on the US-Mexico border. If you're a drug mule in this area, hunker down. Because man, oh man, that is dangerous. Holy crap. This is probably associated with heavy winds, possibly hail. Jeez. Oh boy. Look at that lightning storm, folks. That is insane. That is an area you don't want to be. Shout out U.S. Border Patrol. Here's your current weather map at weather.gov. What is going on up there in Montana? What's that tan thing? Lake wind advisory. Okay. I can't believe there's no high wind watch. Well, maybe it's just a heavy lightning storm, folks. I don't know. What's that one? Severe thunderstorm watch. All right, well, that's something. Flooding in the central U.S. Let us know about your crops, folks. If you're delayed planting, I mean, we have a dogwood tree here, which usually blooms in March, and it's blooming now in May. So that's a completely late spring, just like last year. Moving on. Global warming update. Here's your snow depth, courtesy of windy.com. Here's Greenland. with over 9 feet of snow from coast to coast. Here's the US. Still quite a bit of snow there. So apparently the planet's just burning up. It's so hot because of your CO2 emissions. We implore you to please increase your carbon footprint. There's snow in those Himalayan mountains, folks. There's snow in the Himalayas, believe it or not. Austria just got hit, by the way. Check it out. Shout out Austria. I've been there. I've been about 20 feet into the country, atop the Zugspitze. If anybody's been to the Zugspitze, which is the high point of Germany, leave a comment. That right there is 9 feet of snow. So's that. Shout out Switzerland. Man, that's a vacation spot I want to be at, as I haven't snowboarded in quite a while. All right, let's move on here before this thing starts doing stuff I didn't want it to do. Another global warming update. Garbage in, garbage out, folks. Climate models, folks. Garbage in, garbage out. If you're a climate denier, please, please leave a comment. And let's look at 94 angstroms and close this thing out and get the heck out of here and go do more stuff. By the way, this track's called smAsho and is available on the SoundCloud. Nitrogen's a greenhouse gas, huh? Oh man, not nitrogen. Oh my gosh. All right, well, that's about it, folks. One other thing to note is that the North Pole coronal hole is back to a shrinking state. 10.7 centimeter radial flux is back up to 69. And we like that a hell of a lot more than 67, so cheers. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for staring at the sun and being all spaced out on our channel. Remember, when you're staring at the sun, don't drink. And if you drink, stare at the sun anyway. Just don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins. I'm going to let this song play out. And I'll see you next time.